Jewish, let alone becoming secular. A lot of, and this is something I completely disagree with, but like a lot of ultra religious people literally mourn their children who are no longer religious or go off and marry other people. And that to me is completely absurd. I mean, most people don't do it, but like there's certain ultra
Yeah,
religious
the
people who do.
Orthodox.
On the one hand, I can understand her because well, I was 20, but in I was in that situation, and everyone tried to convince me in every which way, and I couldn't hear it because I was over the moon in love with this human being and I wanted to be with him no matter what. And I was also very dramatic back then. So I was like enjoying the Romeo and Juliet kind of narrative. And but it was just such a complicated situation. It was such a complicated situation, but I had to come to my decision by myself in the end. We didn't have a child involved, which only complicates things, but it's I mean, in every situation, people try to convince you you're not going to hear it until you decide for yourself that you want to hear it or that you need something else or that what you're doing is wrong. So it's especially when you enjoy the drama, it's very hard
Yeah.
to listen to other people trying to tell you that the person you're super in love with might not be right for you and that it's impacting other people in your life. And I mean, both my parents come from very religious families. So for them, it was such a it, it was it was such a shock to the system of like, what the hell even is this? And it was very difficult to digest, especially since family is very important to me. And so you have this tension between wanting to please your family and wanting them to be happy for you to wanting to be happy for yourself
Mm.
and wanting to be with the person you want to be with. And I didn't want to wake up one day and regret my decision of breaking up with him because my family made me. Because it came from me, then I can't regret that.
No, yeah, yeah.
And so, I mean, the whole thing was just, my God. um,
Are your sisters
yeah.
like religious?
No, none of us are religious anymore. We're all fairly traditional. Like we enjoy celebrating the holidays and the Sabbath and whatever, but we don't actually observe any of the, yeah.
Deeper rooted, like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I mean, there are, I'm now realizing that I haven't seen this priest or nun on YouTube for a while. But like there are kind of these religious figures that kind of defog the Bible and talk about,
Yeah.
certain scriptures and Hinduism and things like that, where they say, um, yeah, I think the Quran may also say it, of just like some part of this religious scripture also says, but you need to adapt with your society. Like this is meant, we are saying this in a time where this works for our society. It may
Yeah.
change, it may not change. And like there are some kind of hints. So in Hinduism, it is very clear where it says like you need to adapt with your society. Like, it's very clear.
Yeah.
It's a very in there aren't many scriptures in Hinduism, and it's not even a religion, officially. It's a like a philosophy. Hinduism isn't
Yeah.
seen as a religion, it's seen as a philosophy by its observers. Um, but they do say like you need to evolve with your society and like of just making sure that this isn't putting yourself in danger and putting others in danger and things like that. But it's so complicated because it's such an old you know beliefs that it's difficult to make them mutate and
Yeah. but it all, I don't want to say nullifies, but it's a whole different story when it comes to relationships and being in a relationship with someone who's from a different religion. Because I know that in Judaism, a lot of families will not take it lightly if a child marries, unless they're completely secular, they won't be open to it. Probably most religious Muslims wouldn't. I mean, any religious, ultra religious family probably won't, but a lot of religions just don't take lightly to it. And I think it's changing now, but a bit with time. But it's
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
it's
changing.
complicated.
It's definitely
Yeah.
changing because, you know, your parents came from a religious family, and now you and
Yeah.
your sisters are not so religious, and you still have amazing relationships with your family. You know,
Yeah.
some families it wouldn't work, but some families it does work, and see, it is changing. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I come from religious, well, family on my dad's side, they're not so religious. Actually, I think my grandfather used to be atheist. I think my grandmother was kind of just like didn't really think about it. But I think my
Yeah.
grandfather was atheist and my dad is atheist. But my mum, like, I'm baptized and I've got communion, and you know, and I've just kind of steered away from, like, if I were to, I don't know what religion I would choose if I were to choose one. Like, I don't feel I'm well versed enough in all of these subjects,
Yeah.
but I come from a Catholic background,
Yeah.
and it's just not part of my life. It's So it is changing. Like, you know, my in my aunt and uncle's house, like, there's the cross in certain places, and they go to mass
Yeah.
sometimes, and you know, and like, they don't outwardly push their Catholicism, but they talk about God sometimes, type of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you know, things are changing, and but it is going to be slow. You know, maybe in the next couple of generations, you know,
Yeah. I think
it's going to be completely different.
yeah, I think religion is slowly becoming obsolete in certain areas and certain cultures and certain generations. It's just becoming slowly. I mean, I think as also a lot of times, I think like I could take myself for example, like my parents, the religion was sort of shoved down their throat. So
Mm.
they never learned to love it properly.
Yeah.
And so they had no idea how to pass it on to us. And so it was inevitable for us not to stay religious because I saw no reason not to turn on lights on Shabbat. I didn't see a reason to
Yeah.
observe something just because I'm told to do it. You know, I need and then you see these religious people who absolutely love the religion because they grew up learning it and reading it and studying it and really understanding its core. And so, you know, for every person it's very different, and it really depends on how you were served the religion. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but like how you were exposed to it and what your experiences with it. And so I think with maybe some people just getting lazier with trying to, or just it's getting harder to try and convey it to their children, especially now when the West is becoming so mixed race, then it's much harder to control with quote marks. But you know,
Yeah. I think that's a good kind of ending point
yeah,
of I mean, curious to hear about whatever, you know, if people who are religious have opinions, and you know,
yeah,
what part of your beliefs kind of will push you or towards or further away from people who don't believe
yeah,
have the same beliefs, and you know, how do you interpret your religion, and are you in somebody who doesn't share the same faith?
yeah. How do you make
Things
it
like that.
work? Yeah.
Yeah, how do you make it work?
Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah,
and catch
love
you in
to
the
hear your
next one.
thoughts. Yes. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.